Hey up me duck YouTube, how are you doing? Today I'm going to be reviewing doing the championship prediction for the season to come. Hope you enjoy. Let's jump straight into this with 23rd place. Well, I was tossing up in my head to put, 24, sorry, forgot there was 24 teams. So 24th, which I think most people will probably agree with me, is going to be Sheffield Wednesday. Due to their 12-point deduction from the start, this is going to be an extremely difficult disadvantage to overturn. I remember when Bolton last season had a 12-point deduction, they couldn't get out of last place. So I think they'll also get a lot of draws. They'll be struggling to win. Their defence is good, but they only have one recognised striker. This is mainly because Gary Monk is a defensive-minded manager, to be fair. So he doesn't have that many strikers. On to 23rd, we have Huddersfield Town. I think they were skirting with relegation all last season. And they have one of the worst teams this season, I think, in my opinion. I know they recently came down from the Premier League, but they were very edgy, a bit sketchy last season. They change managers frequently as well. To find a rhythm is quite hard to maintain. There's also I don't think there's as many fans around there because there's Leeds and Bradford, and the size of the town itself is quite small. So I don't know how many they're going to actually turn up in the week. So it'll be really difficult to keep out of relegation zone. And 22nd of the first promoted teams from League One is Wycombe Wanderers. I've put in 22nd. It is their first time ever this high up in the pyramid, so it's going to be quite hard for them to adjust. I don't think they have particularly the greatest squad depth because I haven't heard of any of their players, to be fair. Pretty much unknown to me. You also have the smallest capacity stadium at Adams Park. So they won't have that many fans, and it'll be difficult, especially with COVID, with social distancing, almost reducing it by probably about a quarter or something. So really struggle to get some numbers in. 21st, just out of relegation zone, I've got Rotherham United. Yep, they've been in the league many times. Always seem to be getting relegated and coming back up. I think they just about have what it takes this time to stay up. They will be in relegation zone until someone like Huddersfield drops. But they'll be very good in defence. 20th, I've put Middlesbrough. This is all changing. I don't know how good Neil Warnock is, but their football isn't the best to watch. This is because the players they brought in are quite lethargic and stuff. I think it's become from previous managers and stuff. Neil Warnock will need at least a season to overturn their poor shape. They haven't actually brought in anybody of great value to improve this squad. But they have a great defence, though. I think the defence will stop them from going down, but I see a lack of goals in this team. So quite low scoring. 19th, I've got Coventry City. They have a lot of young players, which they've brought in this transfer window and from the past. It's a bit inexperienced in the league, but I think they've got what it takes to stay. They are ground sharing. Who knows what that will provide? Maybe less fans, maybe. The manager, I have to say, is loyal to the club, though. He will stay whatever. He seems to be good to them. I'd personally rate the manager quite high. I think they'll stay in the league, but they really need to be on the way to the next stadium. I think they're trying to build one in Warwickshire somewhere or something. So we'll see how they do. 18th, we've got Norwich City. Many of you will probably think, oh yeah, they'll bounce back really easily. They've got the greatest squad. I think they'll have a very poor start because the media have been hyping them up a lot, so that will make the players think that they're really good. I don't really see how. I think they'll even lose their first game against Luton, honestly. I don't see how they're going to manage to maintain it. They'll struggle to keep their good players like Pukki and Cantwell, players like that. And even if Pukki stayed, I think he will have an off-season. Seeing him the second half of the Premier League, he wasn't that good. See if he can maintain that scoring. It will very much change my prediction if he 20 chip. But if he can't, it'll be very difficult. 17th, I've got Nottingham Forest. That is an entirely biased opinion. I do hate Forest as a Derby fan. They have overbought in players. So will they be able to easily bond as a team? Not necessarily. They will be in mid-table, but will have a long losing streak, 5 games or so, which will knock them down a bit. I know a lot of Forest fans would hate me, but I hate them, so shame on them. 16th is Bristol City. Always going to be mid-table for me, but whereabouts? I don't think they've strengthened that much in the transfer window, and a lot of their players have been released or loaned out, so the squad depth is quite small. They will win by big margins, but I think they'd also lose by big margins. I think it's a bit of, they're good at attack, but not at defence. I can see them coming anywhere in mid-table, though. I've just chosen 16th because of the other teams around them. 15th, I've got QPR. They have lost Eze, which probably could make them lower. Still have a good squad. They always work well as a team. They always finish mid-table, whatever. Quite strong in defence. Don't see them much as an attacking threat, though. But in defence, definitely strong. 14th is Birmingham City. They have a very good squad if they work together. So can Karanka settle in? Would it take time to do that? Because I think he will reap the joy over time of being in the facilities and stuff. He'll get the job done. They do have a strong fan base, as well as an experienced side, and experience is what you need sometimes in the Championship. It does sometimes result in mid-table, but I think with experience, there is not really much threat of relegation. 13th, I've put Luton Town. This may come as a shock to a lot of you, why I've put Luton Town so high up in 13th. Well, they've been experienced in the league now, and they had very good behind closed door. If they can take that momentum, which they had from last season, into this one, they'll be well into mid-table. They'll have a lot of draws and 1-0s, but I don't think they'll lose that often. I think they have enough defence, because I think it's very strong defence in Luton. The fans is what I'm sort of worried about. Not also Kenilworth Road, I don't think it's the biggest ground in the world, so I think they're going to need to rely a lot on the form on the ground and not the fans. I think so. I've put 12th as Millwall, because Gary Rowett, as you can have, if you've noticed a pattern, seems to have a good season, a bad season, a good season, and a bad season. So they did well last year under Gary Rowett, and will continue to try and improve, I'm sure. The team is also experienced. I think they've made some quite poor signings, which will sort of bring them down. I think Rowett will probably get sacked by February time, and then they'll start coming back up again and sort of reign around mid-table. 11th, I put Stoke City. Looking at the squad, they shouldn't be in a relegation scrap, but they have seemed to be over the last couple of years. I think that's down to the managers, to be fair. They've not got the greatest one from a moment still. I don't think they've been quite good enough in the Championship, but I think mid-table should be a natural progression for them, and they should be happy with it. The season after this one, then they'll probably get into playoffs, and I think you need to depend in faith in the manager and in transfer windows just improve. They could quite well take my estimations well up if they do well, but personally I can not see them going up from mid-table. 10th, I've put Swansea City. I think they're the ones who will start pushing for the playoffs and will be at the bottom of the pile of the people who are trying to push. This is just down to the quality in the league. There's so many good teams, and I think they could always improve on the current squad. I think Steve Cooper is a good manager in bringing through the youth. So I think that will be a good progression for them throughout the season, and then we'll try and reap the rewards for next season, a bit of a transition one, like Derby last season. 9th, I've put Reading. They always seem to have hit and miss results, but I think they'll gather enough wins to make a challenge for the playoffs, but the inconsistency would sort of be their downfall. They'll win against the opposition below, but not against the ones above. But because they have a very strong line of strikers in Baldock, Luco and McNulty. However, the defence, again, is a bit of an issue. 8th, I've put Barnsley. Absolutely madam on them. They could be underdogs for most of the season. I think they'll win a handful of games 1-0 and do some unthinkable stuff. I don't think they'll quite challenge for the playoffs due to poor form at one point or another during the season. It will probably result in about 8th place. But I think this is just purely madness of what I've guessed. They could end up getting relegated. It was really up to how well they decide to put it on. 7th, I put Preston North End, which seems reasonable as they do push every single year, yet still manage to fail at the final hurdle. It would be typical of Preston to do that again. They're just not quite their team. They do have good defence. The goalkeepers of Declan Rudd and Connor Ripley, I think, are extremely good goalkeepers. They have 2. Also Ben Davis and Ben Pearson in defence. And it's quite a hard squad to break down. I think Derby won 1-0 by a set piece during the behind closed doors. So they're difficult to break down, certainly. But I think the win margin's quite hard for them. 6th, I've put Derby County, 19. I think we will finish in the playoffs, as a good mix of youth and experience is always a good thing. I believe a bit of a late push like Frank Lampard will get us into the top 6. I don't believe we'll win it, though, because of the high stakes and teams involved. We'll lose probably whoever comes third. I do think we need to strengthen, however, in our attacking department if this is going to become a reality. Waghorn and Marriott, if they decide to have a wonder season, could do it. They also couldn't, as we saw last season. So we'll drift probably into mid-table. But it all depends on the right attitude in the squad, I think. 5th, I've put Watford. They do have a great squad, but a tendency to sack managers, which does make it quite hard to be consistently up there. The transfer window is important to them. Do they need to bring in people? I personally don't think so, but they do need to not sell people like Will Hughes and Troy Deeney, because that is what is giving them the strength in forward. 4th, I put Bournemouth. I think they will be promoted via the playoffs, and as long as they don't lose any more of their good players, they can mount a serious push. But they will always be on the outside chance because they have already lost Nathan Ake and Ramsdale. So just try not to lose any more is all I can say. 3rd, I put Blackburn Rovers. They have been steadily building a strong squad in the transfer windows, and I think they do have an outside chance of automatic. They will stumble towards the end of the season, and I think that momentum will go into the playoffs and they'll lose the final. But they'll still have a great season regardless. I think Adam Armstrong will be joint Golden Boot winner with Ollie Watkins. 2nd, I put Cardiff City. They had a sort of settling season last time. It's always quite hard when you drop from Premier League to get straight back up. But they still managed to get into the playoffs, so that's saying something. So if they can build on it, they could probably get automatically promoted by coming 2nd. I think Neil Harris has great attacking football, which will win them games. I think Lee Tomlin will probably shoot 20 plus goals to seal the amazing comeback. I think first, my final one is first, and as long as they can keep their squad together, it's going to be Brentford. I think most people have put them as their favourite to win the league. I personally can see it happening. They just need consistency. And I think they need to keep Ollie Watkins to score them the goals to get them up. So let me know what you think. I'll do the same with League One tomorrow. So we'll see you then.